Welcome into Straight Up Sports. I am Devin Albertson. Time for Missouri 8-man football. I know the show has been a little bit off the rails the last couple of weeks. My other computer backfired. I'm still using my fiance's computer right now. Shout out Andrea for that. But let's get into week 7 here. Exciting times in 8-man football. We'll go through the standings real quick. Each conference in the 275, Mound City leads the conference 5-0 in the conference, 6-0 overall, followed by Livingston, who's 5-1 overall and 5-1 in conference. Rockport is 4-1, 4-2 in conference. East Atchison 4-2 overall and in conference. South Holt 3-3 overall, 3-2 in conference play. DeKalb is 2-4, 1-4 in conference play, while Platte Valley is 1-5, 1-4 in conference play. Stewartsville 1-5 and 1-4 as well, and Northwest Nottoway at 0-6, 0-6 overall. The Grand River, Stanberry 6-0, 6-0 in conference. Worth County 6-0, 4-0 in conference play. Pattonsburg 5-1 overall, 4-1 in conference play. North Andrew, Albany, and King City all 3-3 overall, but Albany 2-2 in conference, while the other two teams are 1-3 in conference. Bramer 0-6, 0-4 in the GRC. Christian is 0-5 overall and 0-5 in conference play. In the Central River, Oric, Osceola, North Shelby, Northern Hardin Central, Northwest Hughesville, and Chillicothe. Oric 6-0, 3-0 overall. Osceola 1-4, 1-0 in conference, though. North Shelby 5-1, 2-1 in conference play. Hardin Central and Norborn 3-3, 1-1 in conference. Hughesville 2-3, 1-2 in conference. Chillicothe 0-6, 0-4 overall. We'll go to my power rankings here for Straight Up Sports. I have a new number 1. Worth County jumps to number 1 in my power rankings, overpassing Stanberry. I had Stanberry number 1 all year long, but Worth County has been the more dominant team. After a while, you just got to look at it and be like, you know what? Worth County is throttling teams. They're taking it to them. Never really in doubt for most of their games. Stanberry, they've been a little bit sluggish as of late. I'm not sure what it is. I called their game versus North Andrew. They weren't really impressive in that game like they were versus King City earlier this year. I don't know what it is about Stanberry right now. I think they could still possibly beat Worth County in Week 9, but I have a lot of pause now with Stanberry. They're just not quite the team I thought they were at the start of the year. But I still think they're really good and are still a state contender. I'm just a little higher on Worth County now than I was Stanberry a couple weeks ago. Mound City still number 3. They've been absolutely dominant. I got them this week at South Holt. Can't wait for that game. See them live in person for the first time this year. Pattonsburg at 5-1. Pretty self-explanatory. Their only loss is to Stanberry. Livingston, I have them at number 5, 5-1 overall. Only losses to Mound City. They got Rockport this week. It should be a big matchup there. King City, they beat Rockport last week. Got back in the winning ways. Looks like they got Jacob Moen back. They could be a team to reckon with later in the season into the playoffs. Tough district with Pattonsburg and Livingston, but they could possibly come out of that district as well. Tough stretch for them, losing to Worth County, Stanberry, and Pattonsburg 3 straight weeks without Moen at running back. They have him back. They're a different animal now. East Atchison at 7-4-2. Tough loss to Mound City last week. Didn't really have enough horses to go with Mound City, so East Atchison is still a solid team, but right now, second or third best team in the conference in the 275. North Andrew, they actually went up one spot in my rankings, even though they lost. They lost at home to Stanberry, but that was one heck of a football game by North Andrew. I was thoroughly impressed with the Cardinals last Friday. I called that game. They were physical up front. They played that game in a phone booth for the full 48 minutes. They had an onside kick to start the game that gave them a lot of momentum going forward. They weren't out physical by Stanberry. You got to give them a lot of credit to the Cardinals and Coach Williams. They are a physical football team. They're not overly flashy, but they will hit you in the mouth over and over and take every hit you give them. So they're still a pretty good football team, a lot better than I thought they were after week 1. So North Andrew, they got Worth County next week and Albany this week. We'll see how they go. They still have a tough schedule to close out the year, but North Andrew looks like they may turn the corner, a better football team now than they were in week 1. That is for sure. Number 9, Rockport 4-2, sliding a bit here. Losses to East Atchison, Livingston, and to King City back-to-back weeks. It doesn't get much easier with Livingston going to Livingston this week. Tough stretch for Rockport. I mean, they got Livingston this week. They got out South Holt, home versus South Holt, Nottoway Holt next week. Then Mound City week 9. That's a tough schedule in the year for Rockport. And then Oric still 6-0, number 10 in my power rankings. No reason to move them up yet, but they are sticking strong there at number 10 in my power rankings. Just outside North Shelby, Albany, and South Holt, Nottoway Holt. North Shelby at 5-1. We'll get to them in a minute. They have a big game this week versus Stanberry. Albany has a big game versus North Andrew, and South Holt, Nottoway Holt a big game versus Mound City. Of course, North Shelby 5-1, Albany and South Holt, Nottoway Holt both 3-3. Now I did a lot of stuff today. I went through every team's stats from top to bottom, pretty much offensive and defensive stats. I just want to give a couple of high points here for individual stats here, real quick. Top three passers in the state. I'll go top four passers in the state. You have Will Height from Pattonsburg, 2,200 yards and 36 touchdowns. Absolute stud there, Pattonsburg. Followed by Drew Quinlan at South Holton Holt, 1,600 yards, 29 touchdowns. Can't wait for his game on Friday versus Mound City to see how they do there. Connor Teichner, I think we came from Northwest Hughesville, 1,100 yards, 23 touchdowns. He's been very impressive, but only 5 games in those numbers as well for the Mustangs. Then Colin Breckenridge, just over 1,000 yards passing, also has 18 passing touchdowns, 10 rushing touchdowns as well for 28 total in the year. He's been very impressive for King City. You got Mac Anderson, the do-it-all guy for Southwest Livingston, 14 passing touchdowns, over 800 yards passing, also over 1,000 yards rushing and 17 touchdowns. That 1,000 yards rushing is the second most in the state, only behind Trey Schieber, who has over 1,100 yards, also has 20 touchdowns to pace the state in both of those. Anderson's second rushing yards and tied second rushing touchdowns with Bywater from East Atchison with 17 apiece. And Bywater also has 950 yards rushing. And a quick shout out to Seth McAfee at Oric, 900 yards rushing, also has 15 touchdowns on the year. He's been a fun watch. Caleb Parman, he also has 15 touchdowns, right out of the top 5 in rushing touchdowns. Jaden Baker from North Andrew, over 800 yards rushing, in that number 5 spot. Receiving, you're going to see a lot of Hughesville, Pattonsburg, South Holton, Holt, and King City. That's pretty much the top 10 with a couple other guys sprinkled in there. That's what it is. You got Chamberlain from Hughesville, number 1, over 700 yards, followed by Cameron Jones from Pattonsburg, just under 700 yards. 650 yards for Eric Ottman from South Holton, Holt. Reagan Morris, same school, 590 yards. Trevor Island from Pattonsburg, 502. That's your top 5 in receiving yards. Receiving touchdowns, Chamberlain leads with Wade 13. Three-way tie at second with Ireland and Jones from Pattonsburg and Morris from South Holton, Holt with 11. Eric Ottman has 10 touchdowns to come up 5th for the Spartans of South Holton, Holt. Total touchdowns, you got Will Height from Pattonsburg, 43 total touchdowns, followed by Quinlan of South Holton, Holt, 34. Mac Anderson, 31. Colin Breckenridge, 28. And Teichner, 24 for the Mustangs. Also, McAfee with Oric with 24 total touchdowns. Total yards, Will Height first, 2,400 yards, followed by Anderson over 2,000 yards. He's been a beast this year for Livingston. Quinlan over 1,800 yards, McAfee 1,450, and Breckenridge 1,440. That's what you have there for the offensive stats. Defensive stats, leading tackle in the state is Dusty Jones from Stewartsville, 76 tackles, followed by Breckenridge for King City and Chamberlain for Hughesville, both at 72. Bryant Gibbons from North Shelby with 66 tackles, and Brandon Gilbert with King City with 63 tackles. Tackles for loss, that's all TJ Hopkins from Mound City. 15.5 tackles for loss. That's 6.5 more than the next closest on the state, which is Gibbons from North Shelby. He's been an absolute monster this year for the Panthers. Can't wait to see him in action this Friday versus South Holton. Not only Holt sacks, Zach Oldham from Stanberry has 7.5, followed by Hopkins with 7, and also from Worth County. I don't know who it is from Worth County because I have that messed up there, but he has 6.5 sacks as well. Cam Wallace with 6 sacks for Stanberry. Dallas Nolan from South Holton Holt with 5. Interceptions, Ethan Wilson from Oric leads the state with 7. Daniel Roth from Northern Hartsville with 5, with Matthew Papa, Cameron Jones, and Eric Ottman for your top 5 there. Some of the best defenses in the state of Missouri, just total-wise, we'll go through this real quick. Top 5 for points allowed. Mound City leads the way, just over 5 points a game. They've been absolutely stellar. 3 shutouts this year. North Shelby 2 at 10.3 points per game. Worth County 12.3. Oric 19, and Stanberry 23.3. Top 5 passing defenses. I'm not going to include Osceola here. They only have 1 game of stats in there. Defensively, it was a game versus North Andrew. North Andrew didn't throw the ball, so I'm not going to count that. So top 5 is Mound City, Northwest Hughesville, Albany, Stewartsville, and North Shelby, all allowing under 100 yards passing a game. Mound City leading the way at 69 yards per game. Top 5 rushing defenses, Mound City, Worth County, North Shelby, Stanberry, and Oric. That's your top 5 rushing defense. Mound City allowing only 40 yards rushing per game. Their number 1 overall defense, 109 yards per game, followed by Worth County, North Shelby, Oric, and Rockport. It's your top 5 defenses in the state. Offensively, total points, top 5 is Pattonsburg, Worth County, Oric, Mound City, and Stanberry, all scoring between 64 and 56 points per game. Those 5 offenses are lethal. Passing, it's Pattonsburg, Southwold, Nolly Holt, Hughesville, Livingston, and King City. Pretty obvious there after looking at the passing records. Holders right now in the state. Rushing, it goes Oric, Stanberry, North Andrew, DeKalb, and Worth County as your top 5 rushing attacks in the state of Missouri, with Mound City and North Shelby on the outside looking in. And total yards, Pattonsburg, Oric, DeKalb, Stanberry, and South Holt, Nottoway Holt. That's what you have there. The schedule for this Friday, I'll go through these games real quick. Number 8, North Andrew at Albany. I went back and forth in this football game for a couple of reasons here. North Andrew, a lot better than they were early in the season. Albany has had a treacherous stretch throughout the season. They've had a super tough schedule. They had 2 out of conference games. One was Veritas Christian. They got a win there. Other one was Mound City on the road. They lost that game. Mound City, a very good football team, and they still have to go through the GRC. A brutal schedule for Albany. They got North Andrew at home here. I would not be surprised if Albany came out and won this football game. I'm going to side with the rushing attack of North Andrew. I think they're going to win it, but Albany could surprise some people and pick up a victory here versus North Andrew. A very interesting game here. Albany a lot better than their record indicates here. Interesting to see where this game kind of plays out. Next one up, number 6 King City at Bramer. I think King City rolls here. Just too dominant there on offense for King City, especially with Moen back. They'll be a force to be reckoned with versus Bramer. Up next, probably the game of the week, number 4 Pattonsburg at number 1 Worth County. Polar opposites. Pretty much when Pattonsburg plays anybody in the GRC, they throw the ball for 418 yards a game, I believe it is. Just outstanding there for Pattonsburg. Yeah, 415 yards a game passing. Worth County, they rush for over 270 yards per game. Caleb Parman for Worth County, along with Andrew Alarcon, running the ball versus the Will Height-led passing attack for Pattonsburg. I just think Worth County defensively is better than Pattonsburg defensively. They're more physical up front. I give Worth County the advantage here, but Pattonsburg are going to be able to score on them a little bit, so we'll see if they can stop them. But I think the high-scoring affair there in Grant City should be a fun one. I believe AAN has that one, so that should be a fun game there between Pattonsburg and Worth County. That's it for your GRC only games. Up next, a game that's really intriguing to me personally. You have number 2 Stanberry at North Shelby, a GRC versus CRC crossover game. And if you look at these two teams on paper, Stanberry scoring 56 points per game, North Shelby just over 44 points per game. North Shelby only allowing 10 points per game, Stanberry allowing 23. I think Stanberry's played a tougher schedule. I think they're a better team. I just don't trust any of those teams in the CRC yet this year. They haven't given me any reason to trust them yet. Teams down south and over east have been a little struggling versus some of these GRC teams, but then again, so is everybody. So if North Shelby can make this game competitive, I'll gain a lot of respect for them. Stanberry is a very good football team. They got a lot to handle there with Trey Schieber. Jason Uhlmeyer from North Shelby is a very good athlete as well. I can't wait to see how these teams kind of match up and get a feel for the CRC a little bit more. That's what you need with these out-of-conference games. It's kind of a feel how everybody is ranks in the state with each other. We just haven't been able to see that yet. I'm curious to see how the Bulldogs and the Red Raiders and the Raiders just kind of match up in this one. I'm ready for this one. I'm going to keep my eye on it. Both these teams love to run the ball. North Shelby runs that triple option veer offense. So does Stanberry at times with Durbin and Schieber along with Ruben Gage in the backfield. Very dynamic backfield for Stanberry. I think Stanberry wins, but North Shelby, let's see if they can give him a game or not. I'm kind of curious. It's a long drive for Stanberry over to Shelbyville over in the eastern part of Missouri. Another CRC versus GRC matchup. Number 10, Oric at St. Joe Christian. Sorry, Lions, you're going to go 0-6. Oric's going to get a win here. They're a pretty good team. They go to 7-0 on the year. I think they can go undefeated up to they play North Shelby in Week 9. That'll be interesting to see how these two teams match up. That could be the end of their undefeated season. We never know with Oric and North Shelby. Oric scoring 61 points per game, only allowing 19. Very good football team. Christian, they're scoring about 13 a game, averaging and allowing 56. No other stats for Christian. I think they're just struggling this year down here for the Lions. So give me Oric in that one on the road. Up next, Osceola at Jasper. Jasper's 11-man school. A pretty good one, 5-1, 4-1 overall. I think Jasper's going to win here. I don't know much about Osceola, but they have struggled a bit this year. So give me Jasper in that one. And then a CRC-only matchup, Northern Hardin Central at Chillicothe. Give me the Aggies, 3-3 on the road at 0-6. Chillicothe, who struggled a lot this year, only scoring 5 points per game, allowing just under 58 points. They've really struggled this year. Norborn's not a great team, but they're still an average team. They're going to be able to beat Chilhowee pretty easily in this one. Pretty good rushing attack there for the Aggies in that one. Then we have a 275 versus CRC crossover. Northwest Nolly looking for their first win of the year at number 2 and 3, Northwest Hughesville. Hughesville's going to throw the ball a lot. We'll see if Northwest Nolly can match up with their athletes on the outside there, but they also allow a lot of points. Hughesville allowing 46 points per game, over 430 yards of offense per game is what they're allowing. Northwest Norway only scoring 12 points a game, but they have looked better the last few weeks. They're progressing better than I thought they would. So we'll see if they can give Hughesville a game down there and kind of see if a bottom tier 275 conference school can match up with a middle tier CRC school. We'll see how that one kind of goes. Then we'll go into the 275, Platte Valley at DeKalb. Platte Valley said earlier 1-5, 1-4 in conference. DeKalb 2-4, 1-4 in conference, beating Northwest Norway last week. I think DeKalb should win this one. I thought they should have beat Northwest Norway going away last week, but Northwest Norway stuck around a bit. I think DeKalb wins this. I think Coyote Henderson is too much, and also as well as Wyatt Ashbaugh, too much for them to handle there for DeKalb. Just a little more talented. Dalton Luke for Platte Valley is a very good running back, though. Should be interesting how these two teams match up a bit. DeKalb has struggled a bit defensively this year, allowing 44 points per game, 377 yards of offense per game. Platte Valley as well allowing 51 points per game, 375 yards per game. I just think DeKalb, a little more physical up front. I think Coyote Henderson is a pretty good back. It's going to be a struggle for Platte Valley to stop him. So it could be a high-scoring game, but I think DeKalb comes away with a win in that one. Next game will be the KNIM Game of the Week. Number 3, Mountain City, undefeated on the year at 3-3. Southwold Nollyholt on a 3-game winning streak, defeating, I think it's Platte Valley, DeKalb, and Stewartsville the last 3 weeks. Back in the winning ways here for the Spartans, scoring 46.3 points per game, allowing 43.4, though. Defense is still a work in progress. One of the worst passing defenses in the state of Missouri. Good thing for them. Mountain City just runs the ball, and they run the ball well. 270 yards per game. And that's pretty much only in a half there for Mountain City. They've only had 2 games going to the third quarter this year. That was East Ashton and Southwest Livingston. They won both those games by about 50 points. So Mountain City, a very good football team, a very good defensive football team, I said earlier, allowing 5 points per game, 70 yards passing, 40 yards rushing, about 110 yards per game in the year. Mountain City, very good. They also lead the state in tackles for loss at 22, I believe. And I did prep work for this game, and Mountain City, about every player on their team has a tackle for loss or 5. I mean, they're just a very good football team up front. So we'll see if the Spartans can hang around. I think Mountain City, what I've heard, is a little bit banged up, so the Spartans, with their spread attack, could stick around longer than some think. So we'll see how that goes. I won't give a prediction with this because I'm going to be at Oregon calling this game. So, but I'm expecting a very fun football game there between Mountain City and Southholt. Nottoway Holt up next, probably the game of the week in the 275. Number 9, Rockport at number 5, Southwest Livingston. Rockport 4-2 on the year, 4-1 in conference play on a 2-game losing streak, going on the road to take on Southwest Livingston, 5-1 in the year. Have won, I believe, 2 or 3 straight since losing to Mountain City earlier this year. These two teams pretty even on paper. Rockport scoring 44 points per game, Livingston 49. Rockport allowing about 31 points per game, as well as Livingston about just over 31 points. So pretty even if you look at the two teams points-wise, yardage-wise, pretty even as well. Rockport a little bit better defensively. It has something to do with playing a little bit easier schedule so far, with Livingston already beating Southholt, Nollyholt, and East Ashton. Rockport lost to East Ashton earlier this year, still has Mountain City and Southholt, Nollyholt on the schedule. Rockport, as I said earlier, could be in some trouble. Livingston with Mac Anderson is going to be a little bit too much for Rockport. Rockport does have a couple good running backs in Gavin Abbott and Joey Herron, also Alec Burke at quarterback. So they have some athletes over there at Rockport. I just don't know if they can keep up with Mac Anderson and company. So I'm going to give Livingston the advantage here to get the win at home, improve to 6-1 in the year, 6-1 in conference play, and look at locking up the second best record in the 275 here soon. With this being their last big conference game of the year, they will have one more in week 8 before they go to Norbert Hardin Central for an out-of-conference matchup in week 9. So Livingston looking to lock up the number 2 spot, 275 conference, and try to get good seeding in district number 3. And finally, East Ashton at Stewartsville, 4-2 at 1-5, 1-4 in conference play for Stewartsville. This one really shouldn't be much of a contest. East Ashton is too talented there with all their guys they have. Bywater, the third leading rusher in the state of Missouri, just under 1,000 yards rushing. McEnany, the number 7 passer, just over 800 yards passing, and 11 touchdowns on the season. Two really fun football athletes there for East Ashton. I think they're going to have enough to take it to Stewartsville a bit. You got to contain Kane Rush, who has over 800 yards passing, 11 touchdowns as well this year. But Stewartsville struggling a bit since that Week 1 win versus Northwest Nottoway. So that's what I have here for this. So just kind of, I think North Andrew beats Albany, but it's going to be closer than some thinks, and Albany could pull off the upset. Number 6, King City beats Bramer. I think number 1, Worth County beats number 4, Pattonsburg. Stanberry on the road, number 2 at North Shelby. Stanberry gets a win there. I want to see how North Shelby matches up with them. Number 10, Oric takes care of St. Joe Christian on the road. Platte Valley loses to DeKalb on the road. I'm calling Mound City at South Holt Nolly Holt. Should be a fun game. 95-9 at them out of Maryville. Number 9, Rockport at number 5, Southwest Livingston. I'm going to take the Wildcats of Livingston in that one to win. Number 7, East Ashton wins on the road at Stewartsville. I think Northwest Hughesville does beat Northwest Nottoway at home. Should be a fun one there between Hughesville and Northwest Nottoway. So we'll see how that one goes. And then 2 Northwestes. And Northern Hardin Central wins at Chillicothe. And Jasper takes care of Osceola at home. So that's my picks for this week for all 12 games. Should be fun. Games to look forward to later in the year. Next week, Worth County at North Andrew. I'll be at that game. East Ashton at Stanberry. That should be interesting. South Holt Nolly Holt at Rockport. As well as Week 9, you'll have Albany Pattonsburg, Worth County Stanberry, Rockport Mound City, and Northern Hardin Central versus Southwest Livingston, North Shelby Oric. So a lot of good games here to go out the rest of the year. Also, you have district standings we have to get to. I'll talk about those real quick to kind of see where we're at here. But District 1, the teams in District 1, Stanberry, Worth County, East Ashton, Rockport, Albany, that's your standings right now. I think it's going to come down to Stanberry, Worth County to come out of this district because most people are the top 2 teams in the state, in my opinion. It's a shame they have to meet in the district championship game. Should be a really fun rematch when they do get there. East Ashton, a really good third best team in a district. Too bad for them, they're in that district. Rockport and Albany, both solid teams. Northwest Nottoway struggling a bit this year. District number 2, it's Mound City's district to lose right now. I think North Andrew and South Holt Nolly Holt are the biggest threats to them, but I don't know if they're quite on that level. I think North Andrew right now slightly above the Spartans there, both in the standings and also in the eye test a little bit there, followed by DeKalb, Platte Valley, and Livingston. All DeKalb and Platte Valley are this year. Christian having a bit of a down year. District number 3, right now the standings go Pattonsburg, Southwest Livingston, North Shelby, King City, Stewartsville, Bramer. Teams 1 through 4, I would not be surprised if they won this district. This district's kind of wide open. Pattonsburg has the inside track. I might go King City too. But we'll kind of see that right now they would meet in the second round of the playoffs, which could make it for a very fun football game. You can see North Shelby versus Livingston second round. That could be interesting as well. So that's a fun district over there for really quality teams in that district. In district number 4, it's Oric, followed by Northern Hardin Central, Hughesville, Osceola, and Chillicothe. I think North Shelby wishes they were in this district. They'd have a pretty good chance to go to the semifinals. I think Oric right now has the inside track there for that one. So that's what we have for your 4 districts. I can't wait for this weekend, this Friday, to kind of see what everything goes down. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for everybody who asked for the show and kind of messaged me like, hey, when's the show coming out this week? I really appreciate it. I have a fun time doing this and talking 8-man football, looking up all the stats and everything like that. Make sure you guys follow Mo 8-man football on Twitter. I posted all the stats that I read you today, and I've got all throughout the week on Mo 8-man football. They're all there if you want to see them. Retweet them, share them to everybody. That Twitter account is for 8-man football only. I want to get as much attention on 8-man football as possible, and that's how you do it. It's just by showing that and giving as much information out to the public as possible. So thank you for sharing that and talking about it. So that's what I have for this week. Thank you. Tune in to 95.9 for me for Mound City at South Holt Nolly Holt. I appreciate it if you tune in. So that's all I got for you guys. Have a good Friday night. Everyone stay healthy, and let's get ready for the playoff push here. 8-man football. It's October. It's go time. We're almost to playoff time. I can't wait. Just signing off for Straight Up Sports, Devin Albertson.